Superman's my favorite because he is a superhero because it's just the right thing to do. There's no like my parents were murdered in front of me and I decided that the crime is wrong, or no one was like, hey, take this ring and be this person, or my uncle doesn't die at my own hand. Oh, damn it. There we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to the Pranzata Podcast. This is your host, Andrea Pranzatelli. This is episode number 101 on my podcast series on YouTube. Today's guest, we have Mr. David Crownson. David is the creator of an incredible comic series called Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer. I feel so honored to have the chance to talk to Mr. David Crownson on the podcast today. He is such an inspiring, joyful person to have around. His energy is contagious. I just want to warn the listeners before we begin the episode that there was a tech error while recording this episode. Thankfully, David Crownson's audio is perfect. On my end, there was a loose cable while recording this podcast. Thankfully, I was able to salvage the audio to get it to a place where you can still hear everything I'm saying. But I just wanted to warn the listeners in advance, especially to my loyal listeners who come to this podcast every week. I really recommend giving this episode a listen because there's so much wisdom that David had to share, and it would be an incredible shame to throw the audio away based on the glitch. So bear with me on this one. This isn't the normal quality of the podcast, but it's definitely worth listening to based on the conversation we had today. I also want to let everybody know who's listening that I went through great lengths to get the audio to a reasonable state. At first, my voice sounded like I was an alien version of RFK Jr. gargling cum. Like, that's how to best describe how my vocal quality was in this episode. And we got it to a point where my vocals are clear, but you're just going to hear like a tiny little in and out glitching. Very tiny and subtle. But without further ado, this is episode number 101 of the Pranzata Podcast with Mr. David Crownson. I hope you enjoy.
So my first question for you, David. My first question is actually based on the history of Harriet Tubman. So I'm kind of curious to know, in your process of writing this, did you get to explore like a really in-depth history about her? Was that part of your writing process?
Yes, it was. I got in contact with 3 different biographers who had done books about Harriet Tubman, like Catherine Clinton and Kate Lee Gifford. And they were just really good about just giving me stuff that's not even in the books that they wrote. And also, like, my comic got into the Schomburg Museum, and they gave me a lot of like access to things about Harriet Tubman that hasn't even like that I think should be like more well known. Like,
that was going to be my question for you is, did you learn anything that isn't so commonly known about her? Like, do you have anything to share with me?
Yeah, Harriet Tubman, because when we look at Harriet Tubman, we always see this, everyone's seen in history. It's always this picture of a stoic, elder Black woman. And she was actually really young when she did this. She was like in her like mid to late 20s. And did this well into her 40s. And also that she had a sense of humor. Like, she wasn't, of course, like, she took this job and this burden and this mission very seriously, but she carried it very gracefully and made herself really light. Like, I think one of my favorite bits of research, because this helped me out when I was writing the comic book, because I had a little bit of trouble of like breaking in and finding that connection. Because at the end of the day, yes, this is Harriet Tubman. She really existed, but it's still a character named Harriet Tubman.
Right.
And there still needs to be a narrative. So one of the things that I found, Harriet was leading a family to freedom, and they were going to Canada. And it was a really stressful mission because Harriet Tubman's identity had leaked. She went by Moses. And everyone thought it was like this white man. but they found out like, oh, okay, it's Harriet Tubman, this 4'11" Black woman. Bounty is on her head for tons of money. No one knows the exact rate. It went from like $900 to $40,000, which is a. Oh wait, can I curse on this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay, which is like a shit $1 trillion back in like 1860.
Yeah.
So this was like a really stressful time. People are like now hunting Harriet Tubman. There's dogs, there's bounties, there's people all across America trying to find this one woman who's considered the most dangerous person in America for leading slaves to freedom. And this, the father was having a panic attack because he thought he made a mistake. Because they were allowed to, as a slave family, they were allowed to sleep inside the house. They were allowed to have shoes, and which is like really dehumanized. Like, oh, like, hey, like we have it good. Like they gave us shoes, you know. I think we should just ride this slavery thing out. Like they gave us shoes. We're allowed to sleep inside the house with, a lantern heat, that heats the room. So maybe we should ride this out. But he thought he made a mistake. And especially because now it's like, okay, I got to travel with this woman who like thousands of people are hunting her down. And if they find her and my family, they're going to kill us viciously and make an example. So he started to have a panic attack in the middle of the night. He doesn't know he's having a panic attack because it's, 1860s. He doesn't know what's happening to him. He just lost control of his body. And Harriet Tubman just walked up to this man, this like giant black man. And everyone's like, oh shit, she's going to shoot him. Because Harriet Tubman was like known for like, yeah, you ain't going to mess up my mission. Because if you mess this up, we all die. Yeah. So everyone thought like this little woman's going to shoot him. But she just walked up to him and like put her hands on his shoulders and started talking to him. And then she made him laugh. Like, and then he was like relaxed and he was calm. And then I was like, wait, that's who Harriet Tubman is. Yeah. In the face of stress, in the face of the monster of racism, white supremacy, slavery, this woman will make time to make herself light, and also show up and also literally laugh in the face of danger. And
that's quite inspiring. Like, I feel like I could use a bit of that myself because I'm somebody who gets tense like throughout life. Like I'm somebody who, we were like literally before we were recording, we were just having a conversation about how like life gets so busy and crammed. And I have so much respect for the people who could kind of like you said, find the joy like in catastrophe. Like a comedian of some sorts, like essentially.
Yeah. Like she was funny and had lots of wit and yet like exactly like a comedian. And I really, I think like my girlfriend was making fun of me because I believe in affirmations and stuff. And I had a thing where my affirmation was about being fun in every circumstance and able to bring levity in every circumstance. And she was like, damn, so you have to like affirm to be fun? I'm like, no. But just like, because right now, everyone, I'm also the founder of a publishing company called Kingwood Comics, everybody. Order from kingwoodcomics.com. And we're publishing other creators in 2024. Right now it's just me and my own comics, but we're going to be taking on more people, and it's a little bit a lot for me because I'm used to just creating my own thing.
That sentiment of like giving yourself the affirmation to wherever you go to bring fun with you, that makes a lot of sense to me because it's like you're going to be in these kind of stressful situations where you're responsible for so many things. So I think a daily reminder like, hey, this is a lot on my plate right now. But like when you think about it, this is kind of badass. And I'm lucky to be doing this. So kind of like keeping that in mind and reminding you every single day to have fun with it. I don't think that sounds crazy at all. That makes perfect sense,
Yeah. Because like like, we were like, I'm just really grateful for the position I'm in, and I'm grateful that people like this comic, and I'm grateful that people are like, hey, because I like your comic, I want to work with you. Like, that's huge. And like, I had to scold a friend of mine who was complaining, who probably someone you should interview, um, who's a studio head, and they were complaining about having to travel to like a different country to do a movie, and they're going to be in this exotic, beautiful country for a month overseeing this movie.
Yeah.
And they want to be in their nice apartment, and they were complaining, and I was like, "Oh, boo hoo hoo! You have to be in an exotic
I
location."
think what happens is, like, when you level up in life, at first there's an appreciation for it, but then you kind of get accustomed to it, and that's your new baseline. And then you have things like, oh, I can't believe I have to go stay in an exotic. Like 10 years ago, you might have never dreamed of being in an exotic country for a month shooting.
Yeah.
Like just the fact that you get to complain about it is, something special. I heard this recently, and I don't remember whose podcast it was. I wish I could quote it, but it might be a popular quote in general. It really put things into perspective for me lately. It said, gratitude is the antidote for anger. And so anytime I feel angry about something, I kind of like take a step back. Like right now I'm looking for a new apartment. So I have all this anger and like impatience and anxiety, like, where am I going to live? Where am I going to live? And then I just like stop and look in the moment. I'm like, wait, I live in a beautiful place right now. Like, just have gratitude for that. I don't necessarily know where I'm going to live in a few weeks, but right now in this moment, in this place, I have a place to live. It's not the best, but there's a bookshelf, there's a plant here. You know what I mean? Like, I'm on a podcast, and it's like, what am I talking about? Like, so just hearing that gratitude is the antidote. Gratitude is the antidote for anger. It's just like anytime you feel angry about something, just like stop, look around, and realize what you have. It's kind of like what you're saying, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it can be like, even having like gratitude for the littlest thing. Like, I opened two eyes today, or I've been a similar thing. I've been like bitching about like this car that I have, and it's like I drive like a 2010 Mazda, and I'm like, oh, I want to get this car, but like most of my bills, the money I make, I reinvest it back into my company, and I'm just like, but I'm like, wait, like, I have a car.
That's it. That's a good problem to have. Yeah.
Yeah, or like, I used to who introduced us, like my awesome friend Tracy Anderson.
Yeah.
We used to work at this I won't say the restaurant, but we worked at this restaurant a couple of years ago, and I was like treated. I was just thinking about. It's funny you mentioned, like, having gratitude be the antidote for anger. Talking about New York Comic Con, I was kind of like stressed, and it was a lot of work, and I was really tired. But I was like, wait, like something like a couple of years ago, I was working at this restaurant where I was. Oh snap! Hold on.
You might have to go wait. It might be like an automatic.
Yes. Hold on, everyone. This is
everybody listening. We're gonna have to do this every
We're gonna have to do this every. Sorry about that.
Just to put everybody in, he's recording the podcast from his gym.
Yes, I'm recording this from my gym because I didn't want to be late, and I wanted to honor the time. So I'll just do this a bunch of times. But yeah, no, I'm like, oh, I could be working at this restaurant where people treat me like garbage, and I'm not making my comic book. I pay my bills from my comic book sales.
That's incredible.
And instead of having to, I'm not putting it down, instead of having to say, sir, would you like a soup or a salad with your entree? And again, I'm not putting that down because I did it for like 13 years of my life.
Oh, there's a time and place. There's a time and place for it. Like, I remember when I was younger, I was really grateful for the job, but then, there comes a time when it's time to move on from it.
Oh yeah. I don't think I could go back.
No.
Don't think. Yeah, no.
Okay, so my next question for you, I have one more question about your comic, Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer. So, what inspired you to use her as your character? Was she somebody you were interested in well before, or was it something that suddenly sprung up? Like, what came first, the chicken or the egg sort of thing? Like, was something already in you, or kind of spring up when you were creating the
I was always fascinated with Harriet Tubman's story as a kid. And then as I, just was already just fascinated by her, the person. And I want to say something like 8 years ago or 9 years, I think it was 2015. My background's in acting. And I auditioned for this independent film called Star Wars: The Force Awakens, and I didn't get the part. And small indie film, small art house film, directed by a nobody named Jeffrey James Abrams, and this other nobody named John Boyega got the part. So I was really sad and upset that I didn't get a part in this movie that could change my life.
Yeah.
And I should have been grateful that I even got to audition, and I got a call back. So I should have been grateful. But I was like, I can't going to get this part, but I'm sad. So my family, they're originally from Ghana, West Africa. And they were like, hey, you're auditioning a lot. We feel this weird intensity over the phone. You've never been to Ghana. You've never seen this side of the world. We think if you don't get this part, you gotta live here, give your apartment in New York, and just come live with us. And so I was like, nah, I'm gonna keep hustling and doing my thing as an actor. Y'all hating. And I auditioned for two other big things. I think one was like Orange is the New Black, and one was in what's that other? I forget it. Divergent. It was like the sequel to Divergent. I didn't get the part in any of those, right? So didn't get the part, and I was like all crying, yeah, Mom, I'm gonna come to Africa and shit. So I think I moved all my stuff to my parents' place in New Jersey, gave up my apartment, and just took leave of absence from my jobs. Plural jobs, so lived in New York, and moved to Ghana and loved it. Amazing, great food, great experience. But again, that's what led to Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer. To answer your question, I was watching a documentary about Harriet Tubman because Harriet Tubman is hugely celebrated in Ghana, more so than I think in America, because they recently, I think years ago, they traced her roots to Accra, Ghana. So celebrity there. So I'm watching this documentary. I'm loving it. I'm eating food, having a good time. And as soon as the documentary ended, I was channel surfing and I landed on the ending of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Mm-hmm. And it's the ending fight scene with Michelle Yeoh and Zhang Zi where they're having a katana fight scene. And when that was done, I think Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters came on, and I was hyped to watch that because I meant to watch it when I was in America, but I had to pack and fly to Ghana, so I didn't get a chance to. So I was like, man, but I was like, okay, let me watch this movie right now. I'm really pumped to watch it, and it was a trash film. Didn't like it, just only because it's hard to make things, so no disrespect to the filmmakers, but I just felt like it wasn't really inspired. And it felt like they rushed in. It was a cash grab. And so I was so disturbed by this movie. I started writing in my journal. I was journaling, and it was like a stream of conscious journaling. And I think I looked back to read what I wrote, and the three things that stood out from my stream of conscious journaling were Harriet Tubman, katana fight scene and witch hunters. And then it kind of, those three things kind of just jumped at me. And I was like, wait, Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer. Like, what if Harriet Tubman like knows martial arts and does the choreography of Crouch Tiger, Hidden Dragon, but she beats up a racist werewolf? I don't know. And, but I know what to do with it. I'm like, is it like my parents, like, you know, stepfather is a pastor, and my mom is a retired contract management corporate America person who worked at AT&T and Johnson and Johnson. I don't have any like film and TV connections.
Yeah.
So I don't know how like I can't make this a movie. And then I thought, okay, maybe I'll make it a video game, but I was like, I don't have connections to that either. Like, damn, what am I going to do? So but it was just trapped in my brain. And I was already kind of writing and developing a web series for myself as an actor to write and star in called Black Irish. And, but Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer was always in the back of my head. And when I flew back to America, I was in line, you know, when you travel and there's like those overpriced, like mini shops or whatever.
Yeah.
I was in line to buy like this $20 Gatorade. And I saw a book called Words for Pictures, How to Write Comic Books. And I'm like, wait, that's it. It's a comic book.
So
and
you were not, sorry to interrupt you, but I'm kind of like, were you not into comics before this?
Yeah, I was into comic books before it.
Gotcha.
The person who wrote that book, Words for Pictures, is my favorite comic book writer.
Okay, that makes things like sense. I'm like, because I was about to say, damn, like that's wild that you like. I thought that you were like more into film and then just like suddenly got into comics, but that makes sense.
Yeah, my whole childhood, I was actually going to be, you know, I fell into acting and filmmaking, but I wanted to be a cartoonist originally. And like my dad got me into comic books as a kid. I think the first comic book he ever bought me was The Death of Superman, which is extremely violent. I don't know what he was. It was like the 90s where comic books were like worth millions of dollars. So I think he thought, okay, I'll buy this for my son and we'll pay for his college tuition someday. Didn't happen. But yeah, I grew up just reading comic books, and I was just obsessed with them. I was going to be a cartoonist. I couldn't draw for shit. But I thought, okay, maybe I'll just write I'll write movies and I'll write animated stuff because like I was really obsessed with like South Park, Simpsons, and Beavis and Butthead. You know, those were my like, you know, Mike Judge, you know, the creators of South Park, creators of Simpsons, those were like my idols growing up. What was I saying? And then I got into reading comic books. I think I used to work at, I don't know where you're based, but I used to work at ShopRite. And ShopRite was like, I think I worked double shifts just so I could buy comic books every week.
Right.
And was very proud that I used that money to buy comic books. So
it's funny how it all went like full circle for you, like how as a kid you started with more of the interesting comics and then like ventured out and then it kind of came back. Going back to what you were saying about your parents inviting you to where did you go again? What was
Ghana, West Africa.
Ghana, West Africa. When you went back there, I'm assuming you weren't working when you were there. You were just kind of.
Oh, you know, I think I did like a one day a week teacher's assistant thing.
Okay.
Where like I taught kids about like American media because they don't know anything about like superheroes and stuff because these kids are kind of like they're really sheltered.
Yeah.
Like. They know who Batman was. They don't know who Superman is. They don't know anything about like they don't know anything about that. So I just was just kind of talking to this one kid. I was just really animated about it. And one of the teachers said, "Hey, like you should come in and like, you know, teach, you know, these kids about American pop culture in our boarding school because they don't know anything about it." And Ghana, you know. usually they produce and make their own entertainment. They don't. So it's only recent that they've been getting like American stuff.
Yeah.
And also even with news, there was one kid I was talking to. He was, I think he was a little bit younger than me, and he's like, "Oh, one of my favorite rappers is Tupac, but I never hear anything about him. That the American rapper. Whatever happened to him?" And I was
Oh
like,
my God! Wow.
I was like, he's been dead for like 20 years.
He's probably like Root is
Oh yeah. I was like, man, I can either like lie and just be like, oh, he just moved to Jamaica. He's just chilling. I'm like, he gonna find out one day. So I might as well
might as well bring in the news.
No, but I was wondering, like, so when you went over there, because your parents said like you're kind of tense, come here and like relax. I'm sort of wondering if maybe pulling back and kind of like relaxing and letting go a little bit is kind of being in that relaxed state, maybe is perhaps like what brought those new creative ideas to you. I'm kind of like, that's what happened.
Yes. Hell yes.
Yeah.
I think, number one, whenever, and I do this whenever I'm like getting too like, I have to like make it, I gotta like ease up. I gotta take a break. If I find myself snapping and yelling at people, which it happens because it can be stressful, I'm like, I gotta take a step back. I gotta ease up a little bit. And also, where I was, it's a lot better now, but it was like 2014, 2015, internet was like, it was really difficult to get in Ghana. If you want to get like Wi-Fi or get 5G, you have to like pay for it by the hour.
Yeah.
So it's like, like, to me, like, I think that's expensive. It's like $10 an hour to rent Wi-Fi. So I would only go on the internet maybe every 2 days.
It's probably good for you.
Oh yeah, it was so good for me.
Yeah.
And all I did, I would go on the internet every 2 days. I would, or sometimes even once a week, or I would just download or bookmark certain websites that I wanted to read an article. Because like now that I'm in America, or I've just been in America, like I'll bookmark something and I'll never get back to it. But when I bookmark it, I will go back to it because we're in such a constant information. Like everyone's always throwing information at us.
Do you ever apply sorry to interrupt. Do you ever apply those things you learned now? Like, hey, take a step back and calm down, or have you been re-Americanized and you're like on the grind again? Or do you have like do you have a better relationship with like relaxation now?
Oh, I am. Yes and no. Like I will prioritize rest more and sleep. Like if I have, originally we were going to meet earlier today, and you were very gracious and nice about rescheduling. I had to pull an all-nighter with just like preparing all of like the ads. And I'm like, I need to hire a social media person, and it took much longer than I thought it was going to take.
Yeah. And
plus, I'm writing 3 different comic books, and I was getting ready to fall asleep, and then I saw the sun rising, and I was like, oh no, and it was like that bad. And I thought, I'll get like 5-6 hours of sleep. I'll go to the gym and, get on this podcast. Everything's going to be great. And then around 10:40 or like 11, my body was like, yo, man, reschedule.
That's good. That's good that you're like listening to your body like that. Hopefully, like I'm hoping for you that like you'll get like after the deadlines are all done, that you'll get like a chance to breathe,
Oh yeah, like I am. I think my girlfriend, she. That's what I was talking about before. The studio. My girlfriend works as a studio exec person for Vista, she's the one who's in Mexico right now. And she wasn't, and I was like, hey, listen, you could be working right now. But like working, but no, like she is very much on top of me about like, hey, like respect your weekends, respect your days off. Not everything can be work. You got to have days where you just kind of have fun and just let loose.
I feel like this podcast is happening like it's in sync with like what I need to hear. So I'm like, that's what I'm like so curious. Like, oh, do you relax? Because I feel like right now I'm very much in a grind mindset. I'm very much like a go grind, like get it mindset. And I'm kind of wondering if I'm going to hit a breaking point if I don't like find the time throughout the week to just like take an edible and lay in bed.
Yeah, I really think I only like to move and work when I'm coming from a place of inspiration.
Right.
If my body, mind, soul align with, it's going to be a 7-day work week, where it's 4 days of writing and having meetings about this other book, having meetings about this other comic book that I'm doing, and then we're making Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer toys, and Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer is going to be a TV show now, and then it's going to be, and then I have this other thing that I have going on. You know, sometimes, like, I think about, again, with my girlfriend, who I love very much, she would say, like, you gotta respect your weekends, but I'm like, hey, like, and not to diss anyone or make fun of anyone or even look down. That's the correct word. Or people who like to go out clubbing or go out to bar hopping. I was just really happy one day that I just had a day just to write and do something creative. And then I, ordered some food and, and fell asleep and watched a movie.
That's the irony of it, is like people who are like, gotta get it, go-getters. Whenever those people do get a day off, they'd rather spend it like writing. Like they'd rather spend it writing. I'm exactly the same way. Whenever I have a day off, I'm not really like out drinking or anything like that. I just have a gentle piano practicing day. Like I'll just like you said, I'll stay in my pajamas, like stretch, do a little breathing, like meditation type stuff. But then I'll still like practice piano, but I won't do it from the perspective of like gotta practice for this gig. I'll kind of just like freestyle, like, so it's like I won't use that day to like go out and party. I'll still use that day to work on something, but I'll just have like a much more I'll have a much more relaxed approach to doing it. Mm-hmm. So I'm exactly the same way.
Like I really think that like I'm obsessed with this thing this acting teacher said. I think his name's Jack Plotnick, and he was teaching a class about like, hey, we really need to, as just creative people, we sometimes need to just tap into like that childlike, that inner child with things. He's like, so you guys would be better actors if you were as free as fucking children. Yeah. And we were just like, my God. And he's like, no, because he's like, listen, when you were a kid, how many of y'all like put on a cape and wanted to be Superman? Everyone started raising their hand or be Batman. He's like, when you put on your cape to be Superman, and you were flying around your house to be Superman, you were never like, shit, I hope these people buy it. You were like, nah, fuck that. I'm Superman.
You're not like, I gotta be Superman because I gotta get the likes. Like I have to get likes. I mean, actually the kids now want to be Superman.
Oh yeah, the kids now, yeah, it's true. Like social media has ruined it.
You're right there. I think the only like childhood now is probably like I don't think like 3-year-olds. I think 3-year-olds are genuine. Like I hope 3-year-olds are not fishing for likes on Instagram, but like maybe like it probably gets young. It probably gets as young as like 5 or 6. They're probably already thinking about that, but. I know what you mean. Like when you're just playing with things, like as a kid.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like having more of a sense of play with things and with, I mean, there's always a time to be like, stern and serious, but like, and I think sometimes having like a grind, and I don't know if I call it like a grind. I'm just really focused and inspired with everything that I'm doing. Like,
Right. It doesn't always have to be like a tense grind. It could be just like a flow, like in the flow of it, like you're just kind of going with it. And if you're enjoying it, it's a different type of grind.
Oh yeah, like I consider hard work is like I'm crawling through broken glass and shit, for 10 miles. That's hard work. It's not hard work for me to like sit in my office and be like, I wonder what cool thing Harriet Tubman can say when she decapitates this racist werewolf. Like that's not hard work, or even like, if I'm writing a movie and I'm trying to like find like this emotional thing that connects, that I feel connected to, and that because it has to start with you, of course. Like I don't think like though he's a fucking whack job. Tom Cruise, like. Yeah, I used to watch Inside the Actors Studio when I was a kid, obviously because I was obsessed with acting and creativity and all that stuff. And out of when they do the interviews, they always ask them, like, what would you want to attempt if you weren't doing your career? And everyone always says like, oh, I'd be a teacher, I'd be a doctor, I'd be a psychiatrist. Tom Cruise, I loved his answer. He's like, I wouldn't want to do anything else. he's like, this is it. Like, why the fuck would I want to do something else? Yeah, and that's just how I feel being in. If something is like a heavy burden, like I feel creativity, it should feel like, and I'm not trying to get too religious-y on it, but it should feel like church, like a divine thing, a divine, loving, focused thing is happening. When it feels like a funeral, it's time to take a break. like if I'm grinding and there are no fruits of my labor, like, right now I'm at the gym because I really needed this. And I needed that sweat because I know I'm going to sleep better. I know I'm going to think better, and also it's also a good de-stress thing.
I was just talking about this to my uncle today. I feel like I should tell you this because it's like it reminds like what you're talking about. I've been preparing to move, and it's been a lot of like taking me out of my routine. I love routines. Like I do really well with routines, and I've been like packing things, and I hadn't worked out for a week, and I go. People who listen like would know me really well. I go to the gym like 3 or 4 times a week. So for me not to go to the gym for a week is a big deal for me. I didn't have time to go. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do an at-home workout. Like I have some weights at home. They're not, I can't do the squat rack and I can't really load it up or anything like that. But at least I could do something. I'm getting the chills just saying this right now. After my workout, I cried. And I think it was like, I think it was like working out, like moves things out of your body. Like it moves stress out of your body that you don't even know that's there. And like when I say I cried, it's going to sound like I was going crazy, but it was such a relief. I like screamed. I was like after the workout, and it was like, I didn't plan it. I didn't even know why I was crying. I couldn't even explain it, but it was just like, I felt like my body was holding this tension. And then post that sweat, it was like, demons came. It was like demons came out, and they just like got out. It was like an exorcism of some kind. And after I just felt this like peace. I was like, oh my God. I was like, I needed that workout so bad.
Hey, a detox. Like this gym. Like I always go into like the sauna a little bit, even after, because they say when you work out, all like certain metals get produced and certain chemicals get produced that you need to like sweat out of. And also like like that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Like just having like that detox of
I feel like it's probably intense, but like I can't even explain it. It literally felt like demons were coming out of me because I was like crying, but also screaming. I was like high pitched, like no one was home. Like, so I could just let it all out. I was just like, and like, just after that, I just felt like, oh, I needed to do that.
Yeah, I want to know what workout you did, like, so I can do. like I need to know that workout plan, because I think
it wasn't anything that crazy. It was just like, I don't even know the word for it. What's the word for the type of workout where it's like it's cardio, but you're also using body weight at the same time? Like it's kind of.
I want to say calisthenics, but I think I'm wrong.
It could be that, or polymetric, something metric, static, metric. But it's like something like a jumping squat would be that, because it's like you're not lifting weights, but just the act of jumping, your own body weight ends up becoming weight. So like if you jump and then squat on the ground, even though you're like not holding any weights with you, just the weight of your own body becomes the weight. There's a word for this. Listeners, if you're listening, please clue me in, because I don't. It's like something with a pediatrics at the end. But I basically did a bunch of that, like jumping squats, jumping lunges, mountain climbers, burpees. Burpees are like the same kind of thing where it's like you're not holding any weights. I just didn't have time to go to the gym, so I was like, let me just figure out how to do it at home. And I just think the combination of like the sweating from the cardio aspect of it, and then using my body weight, I just needed it. Like I needed it so bad.
Yeah. Like I'm trying to do a thing, because I think, but in 2021, I wasn't as busy as I am now, but I was able to like have a trainer and at least work out with a trainer 3 times a week, and it was 3 times a week of him whooping my butt. And you know, that was like some of the best, most fit times I had. But then like just with this new schedule, which I'm grateful that I'm busy, but I'm trying to fight back to, one of the reasons why I wanted to meet with you originally around 1 was because I was like, all right, I'm going to go to the gym at like 10:45, and it's going to be amazing. And then when I got my whole car thing fixed, and I was at my office, I was like, I never made any ads, and my book is in a bunch of stores tomorrow. Oh man. But exercise. I think once we're done, I'm gonna go, because my gym's up until like a little after midnight. So
I'm gonna do a couple exercises.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a kettlebell full body circuit, and then because my cool down's really important, I'm gonna take one of those like ice bath things.
Whoa!
Yeah.
I don't. Everybody said that's like the whole like the grind, like the Joe Rogan, like that's like the type of thing that is. I'm sure it's good for me. I'm so scared to do it. I hate the cold. I'd rather go in a lava bath than I mean, I'd probably die from that, but I'd rather, like, that sounds horrible to me. But I'm sure it does something to you, you know?
Oh yes. Like my former trainer, we had been working out for like 2 weeks straight, and he was just kicking my ass. And my body was just so like tense from all the workouts we were doing, because we always do full body workouts. And I was like, oh, man, I'm just like really tense in my body. And he's like, all right, I want you to do the cold plunge. And I want you to do it for 30 seconds and get out of it. And there's like a heated, like little, like a heating therapy pool next to it. He's like, go in that for 3 minutes, and then go into the sauna for 3 minutes, and repeat this 3 times. And I was like, yo, fuck that. I was like, yo, man, fuck you. I was like, I am a whole ass African out here. You want me to be in ice? Like, what the fuck? This ain't Ukraine. What the fuck? You want me to be taking? Like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, this white man's insane. I'm not gonna do no damn cold shit. Get out of here. And he's like, no, it's really good for you. It'll help you sleep deeper. It's good for healthy testosterone levels. And it'll just like get rid of inflammation, and it'll just relax you. And I was like, yo, fuck you. I'm not doing this. And I wasn't going to do it. Then the last minute I was like, yeah, let me at least try. Because like I will always try something. And I did it, and I hated it. And it was the longest 30 seconds. But then I got out of it, and then I kind of did the thing that he said. And I have never slept so deep in my life.
Like, really did it take out your muscle tension?
It took God. I felt like a new human. Like I felt like a newborn baby the next day.
I don't know how I could possibly get an ice bath, but maybe if I just like put really cold shower water, that might partially do
cold shower water, or I don't know what your bathtub situation is, or they even sell them. Actually, they sell like it's like it looks like a recycling bin type of thing, and you just dump a bunch of ice in it, and then pour a bunch of water, and just sit in it. Just sit in it for 3 minutes.
I might take a cold shower, maybe.
No, like you got it. Like all my friends think I'm crazy for suggesting it. But everyone's like, yo, man, your ass is black. What the fuck you doing that shit? And I'm like, no. Like whenever I've worked out, or it's also good because after I work out, my body is like hot. Especially like since I'm working out so late, it's gonna be hard for me to pass out. And all the pre-workouts, all the vitamins that I take, and all the like testosterone or not testosterone, just like intensity and adrenaline from going, it's a great, no pun intended, cool down. And also just makes you really resistant to, or just have a higher threshold for like pain, I've noticed. And just like I just feel like my brain reacts differently to uncomfortable situations. Like I feel like I'm much more relaxed, and also it helps my mood. Like someone did something that like pissed me off, and I was much slower to anger, and I had a lot of patience. Yeah. And also, I just think it's really good for meditation. Because all you have is your body and this pole. There's nowhere to go.
It's almost like going through that, like you said, it made you more patient. It's almost like, wait a second, I'm sat in an ice cold bath today. Like nothing can face me at this point. Like, exactly. What could be worse than that? Like, you know.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I really think. I mean, don't like. I kind of had to take a break because I was overdoing it. Because you can overdo it, and your like blood sugar levels will like drop, and you'll be all tired and messed up. But yeah, I just it just made me a much more calm, relaxed person, and it made me a much more because I just think it just brought me into this great Zen mode that I think everyone should do it. Or even just like 30 seconds. Just
right. You're slowly selling me into the idea. So I'm definitely going to put some. I'll probably try it at some point in my life. I don't want to hold you hostage all night, so I do want to get to this one, just in case the listeners are expecting it. I started adding a trivia section to my podcast, so I have 5 comic questions for you. Let's put you to the test and see how well you know the really, the in-depth stuff. Okay. This one I like because it was like a weird question. Number 1, who was Elvis Presley's favorite superhero?
Oh, man.
It was like a guess at this point, probably.
I'm just going to guess that. I have no idea. Superman?
Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel?
Yes. So apparently Elvis Presley likes Captain Marvel. Okay. Question number 2. How did Spider-Man get his superpowers? It's probably basic for you. How did? He's bitten by a radioactive spider.
I was gonna like make some fun of like, oh, his parents were shot by a spider or something. I was gonna make something up.
Okay, listeners, in case you didn't catch that, so Spider-Man got his superpowers because he was bitten by a radioactive spider. Okay.
Yes.
Number 3, maybe you don't know this. These are probably too easy for you. Now I feel like an idiot. Okay, number 3. Who was the first ever superhero?
Oh, Superman.
Okay, maybe someone could fact check me, but the answer I got from the internet was
Zora.
The Phantom.
The Phantom. Oh, wow. I thought it was either going to be Zorro or Superman. The Phantom.
Fact check me because that's what I found, but it's hard. Like sometimes you'll get conflicting information. But according to my findings, apparently it was Phantom.
The Phantom. Wow.
Yeah, so you'll have to look into that later and then message me if I was wrong. Okay. What is the oldest comic book? What year did they find the oldest?
Oh man.
And his historical things are like kind of like this is what they know of. Like there could have been things before that, but what historians do know? What was the oldest comic?
Oh, I don't know.
Really, in Europe? Try to guess the year.
1946.
Apparently 1837.
Wow.
And it was, I don't know how to pronounce the name, Obadiah Old Book. So I just found this out today. I would have not known this, obviously. But 1837, they have findings of an old comic from Europe called Obadiah Old Book. And that's as far as they know. Okay, last question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you know this. What year was the first Batman comic released?
Oh, damn. The first Batman comic, I think it was the 1930s. Is it 1930s?
I think you're right. 1939.
Yes.
I'll give you that one. That's close enough in my book for you to pass that. So yeah, you did pretty well there. I feel like some of them were too easy for you, but I was like, how do I ask him this without like scaring the listeners away, like and be like, no, this is way over my head. But yeah, that's it.
Oh wow! Hey! Some of those were like challenging. I didn't know. I didn't know the first
Presley
superhero.
one.
Yeah, the Elvis Presley or the first superhero, or what is it? Yeah, I had no idea.
Who's your favorite superhero?
Superman.
So can you elaborate as to why? Who's your favorite?
Yeah, Superman's my favorite because he is a superhero because it's just the right thing to do. There's no like my parents were murdered in front of me and I decided that the crime is wrong, or no one was like, hey, take this ring and be this person. Or, you know, my uncle doesn't die at my own hand. Oh, damn it. There we go. All right. There we go. What's it called? For everyone listening.
It's almost like the gods were saying, like, nah, this ain't a good. No.
It's like, this ain't it. How dare you make fun of Batman with your answer? No, but like, I really like find that endearing that for Clark Kent, being Superman is just like a side hustle, and he cares about being a journalist, but especially with everything that's happening in the world right now.
Right.
If Clark is watching the news and he sees something terrible happening in like another country, he's like, he doesn't have to be home to stop it. He's not going to go on Twitter or not to say that's bad, or he's like, oh, I can be there in 5 minutes. Literally, I can be there in 5 minutes. And I can like help people, you know, and he doesn't do it. And he just does it because it's like being an adult amongst children.
Yeah.
And like, let's say like another adult comes in a room and says, I'm going to hurt all these other kids. Yeah. You're not gonna let that happen. Like, they're children, they can't do anything. Of course, you're gonna do everything in your power as an adult to stop that person. Yeah. And that's like how it is as a Kryptonian over Earth. You can either rule the planet or you can save it. And this guy decides, I'm gonna save it. And I just thought that was like really cool and really badass, You know,
it's almost like the philosophical question of like, is morality innate with us, or is it only existing because of religion? It's almost like Superman, from what you're explaining to me, it's innate within him. He's got like goodness innate within him. He didn't need any books to teach him how to do that.
Yeah, and like, you know, he has his parents and stuff, but like, and people are like, oh, well, he finds out that he's on a planet that blew up and died. I'm like, yeah, but he doesn't know about it till he's like in his 20s. He spends his whole life being like, oh shit, I can lift shit and I can run really fast. You know, like there's a cool like thing in the comic books with him where he doesn't know, he just knows he has all these powers, but he doesn't know that he's like an alien. And he travels to different countries to help people. Like there's a place that they don't specify what country it is, but it's a place that struggles with food and water, and he goes and like uses his Superman powers.
He's humble too. He's humble.
Yeah,
So I don't know much about comics, so I'm like, I don't know. Like I don't really know, but the gist I'm getting, like the vibe I'm getting, is that we need more people like that in real life, by the way. But like, he's a powerful man who does good with it, but he doesn't abuse his powers, which I feel like we need more men like that in the world today. Like,
Superman is the ultimate manifestation of, with great power comes great responsibility.
He uses it humbly. Yeah,
exactly. Like there was like, you know, I held the door for this 90-year-old woman at the grocery store the other day. I didn't hold the door for her because a door closed on my mom when I was a kid. And from that day on, I know that I'm like, no, I'm an asshole if this woman who's in her late 90s and is struggling to get in, hold the door for her.
And you're also not doing it because like God is watching and you're trying to get points to get into the gates of heaven. That's not it either. Yeah.
Yes, simply, it's the right thing to do. Yeah. Superman, he is always going to make the right choice. And he's not going to he's not going to make that choice because it's popular. He's not going to do that choice because he benefits from it from a selfish need. It's because I'm just here to help, and I'm here. I have this, so I might as well use it to. Yeah, it's an altruistic, let me help people type of thing, you know. So that's why, you know, it's Superman first, Spider-Man second, Batman, because I just think Batman's cool. Batman's just cool. Batman's cool. Like, I wouldn't want to wake up to be Batman though. Like if I woke up and I was Batman, I was like, man, there are so much therapy. So much therapy. I'm like, it has to happen. It's and also like, I'm fit. I have this great body, but I have to fight people and things, and I just know that man doesn't get enough sleep. I know. I think my girlfriend was making fun of Batman. She's like, I just know the sex is terrible. I was like, Jesus. She's like, there's so much like. Superman is like emotionally just well adjusted, grew up with not that he needs this, but he grew up with two parents who are like emotionally stable. And just like he has friends, he has a job, and people like, yes, he's this global famous person, but the Clark Kent part of him is, you know, just this humble dude from Kansas.
I don't even know the superheroes, and he's my favorite. You've convinced me. Okay,
yes,
I'm going to leave you with one more question because I don't want to hold you too long, and you know you can get back to your kettlebell swings before the. I'm going to throw in a philosophy question about comics. Do you ever feel like you notice, being that you're in the mindset, you literally are a comic, right? But you're in this mindset. Do you ever notice real life superhero villain type drama in real life? Do you ever see parallels between real life and comic drama?
Yes.
Yeah.
Supervillain stuff and also some hero stuff too. Um, like like John F. Kennedy for superhero stuff. A lot of John F. Kennedy Jr. is a lot of Bruce Wayne, of this person who is idolized for his family and his heritage and is like the prince basically. And he's handsome, he's tall, dark, and handsome. Still, like there's like a darkness behind it and a pain behind it, and sadly, he tragically passed away. But I was like, wait, that's Bruce Wayne, or that's how, like, because when I watch these movies and they're always like, oh my God, Bruce Wayne, I don't know how to like look at him. But then looking at how the news covered John F. Kennedy Jr., it's a lot of Bruce Wayne stuff. As far as like supervillain stuff, I mean, it's all billionaires. it's all billionaires, or not all, but like the most known or most famous billionaires.
Amazon.
That the artist formerly known as Twitter. Yeah, like, because again, it's like if I have billions of dollars, like if I like actually no trillions of dollars, like I'm set for life. And I have thousands of people who work for me to ensure my company does well. They're like, can you pay us like $10,000 more? It's the equivalent of taking $20 from $10,000.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, why are we hoarding this? Like I have a company, Kingwood Comics, and I think someone said, "Do you want to be a billionaire one day?" I'm like, "Oh no, me, David, I don't need to personally be a billionaire. If my company becomes $1 billion company, like let's say 1 billion people buy Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer and my other comic books, we have that money to just create and make even more cool stuff, and we don't have to be held down by." Shackles of working with other people. We can kind of move and do what we want. We can make the projects we want to make. We can invest in other people. I can hire a social media person so I don't have to stay up all night.
I hear you. I'm 100. I say that all the time on the podcast. Which, by the way, I'm going to say it right now, listeners, if you're listening and you enjoy what you hear today, don't forget to hit subscribe. And if you already are a listener, don't forget to share, because I would like to monetize this channel so I can hire a social media manager, or a video editor, and I can get like a better camera and everything and give you guys a better product. So I'm just going to plug that in right there really quick. But anyways, go back to what you're saying.
Just because to do any type of like content creation, creativity, artistry, like it really does take a village. It really does take like no one's an island. Like you need there are some people that can do it by themselves and they're brilliant at it. But after a while, it gets lonely, it gets exhausting. I used to have one of my friends used to make just make my ads for me for when I'm doing like a comic book convention. And my friend got too busy because she got like a job, like a full-time, like a 14-hour full-time editorial job. And she used to just do it for me, hey, like you're my friend, like I'll do it for free. It's no big deal to me. And I've been doing it all by myself recently, and I'm like, yo, this is a lot. But it really does take a village and it takes a team. I'm really grateful that I have like a very small group, but it makes, having 5 people, makes this less stressful, makes everything flow better. Even like, my own website that I have for my company, kingdomcomics.com, everybody. Thankfully I had the finances to pay someone to do that, and it's a great looking website.
Yeah.
And yeah, you really do need your core group of people. I even think there's billion-dollar companies that have 7 people running it. I wouldn't do that. Probably more than 20 at least.
Yeah, it's funny as an artist, like you don't go in there with the mindset of like, I'm going to make $1 billion so I can have like, fancy parties with jet planes and hoes.
Yeah.
You don't go with that mindset, but you eventually learn that you do need to make money in order to make this possible. So it's like, you do eventually need money, but I think there's like a different mindset behind it than the building mindset.
Oh yeah. There's an artist I'm working with right now, and we're trying to make a ongoing creator-owned independent book. And we were having conversations about the story, and then just having conversations about advertising, and he just said like, "Hey man," it was a weird thing that I think he was trying to call me out. He was like, "Yo man, you've changed. You used to be all about the art. Now when we talk, you're all about like you're very business minded, and you talk about money a lot." And I'm like, "Hey, when you're the artist, you are only thinking about yourself. When you are the executive, founder, CEO, whatever, you're thinking about paying." Like when you're an artist, you're thinking about being invited to the party. When you're on the executive level, you're thinking about paying for the party.
Right. Money. It's crazy. Money, it has this like selfish negative context. And in the hands of the wrong person, it could be a very toxic thing. But when you look at it from that mindset, it's like, I want this wealth so I could give this wealth to people. Like I could give this wealth to people and spread and not hoard the wealth, but give it to people. Then it has a totally different meaning. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because I don't like you don't want to make like, and I don't mean making money by just doing like having like a cheap way of making money.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, hey, we're not going to sell out when it comes to the books that we do. I really deeply believe like making good quality books and good quality work, like it'll stand out, and that's what's going to sell. Like let's make something really good that has good art and a good story, and then we'll push it, and people will gravitate to it because the story is good and because the art's good, and then take it from there. Because I used to beat myself up as a kid. I took a personality career test, and I scored number 1 for business. But then creativity and art was second. And I used to be really mad. I was like, man, I want to do art, And a lot of my friends scored number 1 in art. But you need you equally need both. You need to switch into, the creative stuff. Like that's really fulfilling for your heart and soul. But the business side of things, it's like, okay, this is how I'm going to either pay and invest in other things or pay my rent, or because you have to keep the lights on for the building.
That's the thing. You can't be an artist if you don't have a place to live.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So they are things that go hand in hand. Or if you don't have that capability, you need to find someone who does. Right. He's a nut job now, but he said something 10 years ago that I'm like, oh, like that makes sense. Sorry, I'm not going to name this rapper that's, I won't say who it is. It's a rapper who has been disgraced recently. But this rapper, who is a billionaire,
Kanye West.
It's Kanye West. Kanye West said something kind of interesting 10 years ago. He was just like, every artist needs a CEO. Artists should focus on creating, but they should be partnered with a business person.
Right. Yeah.
Because if artists are too much into the business, their creativity will suffer. But it is needed so they can still keep making money.
It's like a yin and yang.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, I wish Kanye knew that for like, hey, you know, don't be anti-Semitic. Like at all. It's really bad for business.
Yeah.
If you're an anti-Semitic person and you're screaming it on a microphone, you know, but yes, those are my thoughts.
Okay, we're gonna end the podcast there on a good note about Kanye West. So you can get back to your gym workout. So before we leave the podcast, let them know where they can find. I'll include links below, but if you want to tell them as well, like where they can purchase your comic.
Yeah, Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer is in comic book stores nationwide. You can buy it. Go to your local comic book store, and they should have it. It's published by my company, Kingwood Comics, which is an imprint in partnership with Massive Publishing. Yeah, and you can also support me by going to my website, kingwoodcomics.com. You can order back orders of the graphic novel. We also sell hoodies and t-shirts of Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer.
Nice.
And you can follow me at follow all things Kingwood Comics at Kingwood_comics. Follow me personally at D Crownson. And Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer is an ongoing comic book series. It's also, we can get a chance to talk about it. We could probably talk about it in part 2 at some point if I'm allowed to come back.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, great. He's like, I'm never inviting him again.
No,
He canceled 3 times.
No, you're good. I had people that come back. Like I've had somebody come back like 3 times. I had somebody come back 4 times. They're just like, there's regulars on here that seem to be favorites. So you're welcome back for part 2 if you ever want to come back and talk again.
Oh, awesome. Well, we'll come back again for part 2 because Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer is going to be a TV show on Disney. So,
what?
Yeah, it's going to be a TV show on Disney.
You have to come back for that. Oh my God, that's crazy. I
Done.
can't believe that. I'm so happy for you. Like, I'm so happy for you. This is all good. Okay, so listeners, if you want to check out his comics and kind of stay in touch with what we were talking about, I'm going to include a link below to his Instagram, where I'm sure you can find information there. And then I'll also include a link to his website that he was referring to. So look below in the section. I always say the section. What is it called? The information section?
Yeah, the link in my bio.
The bio? I don't know, whatever it is. Just go down, find the stuff there. And that's it. Pranzata Podcast, episode number 101. Again, if you enjoyed what you heard, press subscribe. I need to get this channel monetized so I could spread the wealth, spread the joy.
Yes.
Give you guys better product, etc., etc. And that's it. Pranzata Podcast. Have a good night, guys. Bye.
Bye.